First contact and betrayal. The massive silver vessel appeared in Earth's orbit without warning, its hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. On the bridge of the International Space Station, Commander Elena Reyes froze mid-sentence, her eyes fixed on the alien craft that dwarfed their orbital home. "Sir, we have an unidentified object at coordinates 34 to 7219, reported Lieutenant Park, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. It just appeared. Within hours, Earth's government scrambled into emergency sessions. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, and social media exploded with theories ranging from apocalyptic to celebratory. Humanity had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. The vessel maintained its position for 3 days before smaller craft detached and descended toward Earth, landing simultaneously in New York, Beijing, and Cairo. From each emerged beings that resembled tall, slender humans with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their eyes, large and multifaceted like those of insects, scanned the welcoming committees with what seemed like clinical interest. "We represent the Stellar Accord," announced their leader in perfect English, the words somehow forming without visible mouth movements. "A confederation of 15 species that governs this sector of the galaxy. Earth has reached a development threshold warranting official contact." Global leaders quickly organized a summit in Geneva. Commander Reyes, having witnessed first contact from orbit, was recalled to attend as a technical advisor. The summit hall buzzed with nervous energy as Chief Ambassador Vex of the Stellar Accord addressed the assembly. "Your species shows remarkable adaptability," Vex stated, multifaceted eyes scanning the crowd. "The Accord will guide your integration into galactic society appropriately." United Nations Secretary-General Okafor stepped forward, extending a hand in the universal gesture of peace. "We welcome knowledge exchange, but Earth is a sovereign planet. We would join any galactic community as equals." The Accord delegates exchanged glances. Several made clicking sounds that their translation devices rendered as laughter. "Sovereignty is a concept developing species cling to," Vex explained with what appeared to be a smile. "You'll outgrow such limitations under our guidance." In the weeks that followed, the Accord outlined their plans for Earth's integration. They spoke of technology transfers, cultural exchanges, and economic opportunities, but behind each proposal lay the same assumption. Earth would follow the Accord's directives in all matters. "They don't view us as equals," Commander Reyes told the Emergency Security Council. "They see us as resources to be managed." General Wei of China's military nodded grimly. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. They know we can't refuse them." As a gesture of goodwill, Earth permitted the Accord to establish monitoring stations in low orbit and research outposts on the lunar surface. Commander Reyes was assigned as humanities liaison, shuttling between Earth and the lunar installations. At first, interactions remained tense but civil. Accord scientists shared limited technological insights while carefully studying Earth's broadcasts, literature, and internet. "Your species is unusually competitive," noted Accord scientist Mira during one exchange. "Most species evolve beyond aggressive individualism before achieving spaceflight. Competition drives innovation," Reyes replied with measured diplomacy. "It's part of what makes us human." The breaking point came 4 months after first contact. The Galileo, an independent research vessel operated by the European Space Agency, was conducting routine scans of near-Earth objects when it detected unusual energy signatures near Mars. The Accord had not explicitly forbidden such activities, but had repeatedly suggested they were unnecessary given their superior monitoring capabilities. Commander Reyes was en route to the lunar outpost when an emergency signal blared through her shuttle. She diverted course in time to witness a beam of energy lance from an Accord ship toward the Galileo. The research vessel, along with its crew of 22 scientists, disintegrated in seconds. "What happened?" she demanded, opening an emergency channel to the Accord base. "Why did you fire on our vessel?" Ambassador Vex's face appeared on the view screen, expression unchanged. A regrettable incident. Your vessel was conducting unauthorized deep space scans that interfered with Accord communications protocols. Despite warnings transmitted on standard emergency frequencies, they continued this aggressive action. Warnings? What warnings? Reyes's hands shook with rage. Those were scientists, not soldiers. It is unfortunate your primitive systems were unable to receive our warnings, Vex replied. We expect your government will take appropriate measures to prevent further provocations. The communication ended, leaving Reyes staring at the debris field that had once been her colleagues. She sat in silence for a long moment, then opened a channel to Earth. This is Commander Reyes, she said, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. The Stellar Accord has fired on the Galileo. There are no survivors, and they expect us to apologize. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Grief turned quickly to rage. In an emergency session of the UN, the Accord representatives maintained their position. The humans had provoked the response through their primitive misunderstanding of galactic protocols. As Reyes looked at their alien faces showing no remorse for the lives they had taken, she understood with perfect clarity. Humanity had welcomed visitors, but found conquerors instead. The emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council lasted 18 hours. No breaks, no media, no leaks. For perhaps the first time in history, representatives from every nation sat together with a single purpose: survival. They killed 22 of our people and expected an apology, said Secretary General Okafor, her voice tight with controlled fury. Images of the destroyed Galileo played on screens around the room. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a clear message about how they view us. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, head of the Global Science Coalition, stood to address the assembly. The Accord possesses technology centuries beyond ours, he said evenly. But they've revealed something crucial. Despite their advancement, they are arrogant and careless. He clicked a button, bringing up surveillance footage of Accord members speaking among themselves, apparently unaware they were being recorded. They don't see us as a threat, he continued, pointing to the footage. That's their first mistake. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity was outmatched, but perhaps not outsmarted. We need time, said Dr. Tanaka. And we need their technology. As if answering his wish, an aide hurried in with news. A small Accord shuttle had experienced catastrophic engine failure and crashed in the Pacific Ocean. Recovery teams were already securing the wreckage. Over the following days, a plan formed. On the surface, Earth would play the part the Accord expected, the chastened child, the primitive species learning its place. Meanwhile, in secret, humanity would prepare. 6 weeks after the Galileo attack, Earth formally apologized for the misunderstanding that led to the necessary defensive action by Accord forces. Ambassador Vex accepted with the same condescending demeanor as always. Commander Reyes, watching from the back of the room, had to clench her fists to keep from shaking with anger. You played your part well, General Wei told her later. The Accord sees exactly what they expect to see: a frightened, submissive species. Beneath the surface, a different reality was taking shape. In a repurposed mineshaft deep under the Swiss Alps, Commander Reyes watched in amazement as scientists disassembled components from the crashed Accord shuttle. Their propulsion system uses principles we theorized but couldn't implement, Dr. Tanaka explained, pointing to a strange crystalline structure. Our material science wasn't advanced enough, but now that we can see how they solved the problem. Similar scenes played out in hidden facilities across the globe. Russian engineers worked on weapons systems. Japanese teams focused on communications technology. Brazilian scientists tackled the biological components of Accord tech, and Indian programmers reverse-engineered the alien computer systems. Progress came at a surprising pace. What had taken Accord species centuries to develop, humanity adapted in months. The pressure of extinction proved a powerful motivator, and human ingenuity flourished in the face of the challenge. It's not that we're smarter than them, explained Dr. Tanaka during a briefing with military leaders. It's that we think differently. The Accord evolved as cooperative herd species. Their technological development was methodical, building consensus at each step. He brought up comparative neural scans of humans and Accord members. Humans evolved as adaptable omnivores with tribal structures. We're hardwired for both cooperation and competition. We understand concepts like deception and guerrilla warfare. We've been perfecting both since before we invented writing. Admiral Diana Rodriguez, a decorated naval strategist, now led the covert fleet production. Spacecraft assembly took place in sections, with no facility knowing the complete picture. Components moved through shipping channels disguised as industrial equipment. Build nothing that looks like a weapon, she instructed. Everything must appear to be civilian infrastructure if detected. Meanwhile, Earth's diplomats played their roles perfectly. They asked humble questions, expressed appropriate gratitude for Accord guidance, and carefully cultivated the image of a species accepting its place in the galactic hierarchy. Accord observers reported back that human resistance had been minimal after the initial shock. Integration was proceeding as expected with this primitive but promising species. A few noted the unusual speed with which humans adopted concepts but attributed this to the simplicity of the ideas being taught. In the shadows, humanity prepared to show the galaxy what a truly dangerous species looked like when threatened. Operation Defiance. 8 months after the destruction of the Galileo, Admiral Rodriguez assembled her command team in the underwater facility beneath Lake Baikal. The covert fleet now numbered 30 vessels, small but lethal, incorporating the best of human ingenuity with reverse-engineered Accord technology. "We remain outgunned," she said frankly, "but not outmatched. Accord ships are stronger, but our tactics will be better. They expect direct confrontation because that's all they know. We'll give them something else entirely." Dr. Tanaka nodded. "How soon can we move?" 2 more weeks, she replied. "We need the element of complete surprise." In her quarters that night, Commander Reyes looked at the memorial wall displaying photos of the Galileo crew. Soon, she thought. Soon we answer. In public, Earth continued its performance of compliance. Secretary General Okafor attended Accord ceremonies with appropriate humility. Ambassador Vex continued his condescending lessons about galactic civilization. In private, humanity prepared to demonstrate what happens when you corner a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history overcoming obstacles. "The Accord believes they're introducing us to the stars," Dr. Tanaka told the final strategy meeting. "They don't realize we've been dreaming of this moment for generations. In every culture, every society, humans have imagined meeting aliens." He smiled grimly. "And we've imagined fighting them, too." Operation Defiance launched on the anniversary of the Galileo massacre, a date chosen for both symbolic significance and practical timing. Accord representatives were conducting their standard monthly inspection of Earth's progress when the final pieces of Admiral Rodriguez's plan fell into place. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of the Shadow Blade, Earth's first stealth vessel. From the outside, it appeared to be a standard transport ship carrying minerals from the moon. Inside, it housed weapons systems reverse-engineered from Accord technology and improved by human engineers. "All ships report ready," her communications officer confirmed. The crew spoke in hushed tones despite knowing no Accord monitoring could penetrate their new stealth systems. "Confirm targets," Commander Reyes ordered. Her tactical officer brought up 3 locations on the main display: the Accord's primary monitoring station in Earth orbit, their forward base on the moon, and their largest supply depot on Mars. "Remember why we fight," Reyes told her crew. Everyone on the bridge touched the small memorial patch on their sleeves, an image of the destroyed Galileo. Across the solar system, 30 human ships waited in perfect silence. Each crew had trained for months for this single mission. Each ship carried technology the Accord believed impossible for humans to master. "Signal from Admiral Rodriguez," the communications officer announced. "Operation Defiance is go." Reyes took a deep breath. "Engage stealth systems. Set course for primary target." The Shadow Blade's engines hummed to life, utilizing a hybrid propulsion system that left no detectable energy signature. Similar ships across the solar system began their silent approach to their targets. In Geneva, Ambassador Vex was lecturing Earth's diplomatic corps on proper Accord etiquette when his communication device chimed. He frowned at the interruption, but excused himself to check the message. "Is something wrong, Ambassador?" asked Minister Chen, noticing the alien's suddenly rigid posture. "A minor technical issue," Vex replied, his normally confident voice strained. "Nothing of concern." But as he returned to his seat, 3 more alerts sounded in quick succession. The Accord representatives began exchanging worried glances. What they weren't telling the human diplomats, they had just lost contact with their primary monitoring station. "All attempts to re-establish communication have failed," reported the tactical officer aboard the Shadow Blade. Reyes's ship glided silently through space, approaching the massive Accord monitoring station. Unlike human space stations, this structure had minimal defensive capabilities. The Accord had never needed to defend themselves in this solar system. "We are in position," reported the tactical officer. "No indication they've detected us." "Deploy boarding teams," Reyes ordered. 30 soldiers in specialized space armor launched from the Shadow Blade, crossing the void to the Accord station. Using cutting tools designed specifically for Accord hull materials, they created entry points at predetermined locations. Inside the station, alarms began to sound as atmosphere vented from multiple breaches. Accord personnel rushed to emergency stations, following protocols for meteoroid impacts. None of them suspected a deliberate attack. By the time they realized what was happening, human soldiers had already secured the command center. "This station is now under Earth control," announced the strike team leader. "Cooperate, and you will not be harmed." The Accord commander stared in shock at the human troops. "Impossible," he whispered. "You don't have this technology." Similar scenes played out across the solar system as human forces struck simultaneously at all Accord installations. The Mars supply depot fell within 40 minutes. The lunar base held out longer but surrendered after realizing no reinforcements were coming. In Geneva, the diplomatic reception descended into chaos as Accord representatives received reports of simultaneous attacks across the solar system. Ambassador Vex's composed facade crumbled as he realized the primitives had somehow outmaneuvered his people's superior technology. "What have you done?" he demanded of Secretary General Okafor. She met his gaze steadily. "We've defended ourselves, Ambassador. Something you should understand, given your people's actions against the Galileo." Vex's skin paled to a sickly gray. "This is an act of war against the entire Stellar Accord." "No," Okafor replied calmly. "This is a negotiating position." Within hours, Admiral Rodriguez had established a communication link with the Accord High Command. From her position on the captured monitoring station, she addressed the Accord leadership directly. "Your forces in our solar system have been neutralized," she stated flatly. "We control all your installations and vessels. We have downloaded your databases. We have studied your weapons, your propulsion systems, your weaknesses." The Accord's Supreme Commander, a being that resembled a mantis crossed with a jellyfish, responded with visible agitation. "This violation will not stand. The full might of the Accord will descend upon your world." Admiral Rodriguez smiled. "Perhaps. But consider this. A primitive species you considered barely worth noticing has, in less than a year, reverse-engineered your technology, defeated your forces, and now threatens your entire presence in this sector. Imagine what we could do with more time." She let that sink in before continuing. "We don't want war with the Accord, but we will not be treated as inferiors. Here are our terms. Earth and the entire Sol system are recognized as sovereign territory. Any future interactions will be conducted as equals. Technology exchange will be mutual, and the families of the Galileo crew will receive formal reparations." The Supreme Commander chittered angrily. "You are making demands of a power you cannot comprehend." "No," Rodriguez countered. We are showing you what happens when you underestimate humanity. The negotiations lasted 3 days. The accord initially threatened overwhelming military response, but gradually realized 2 uncomfortable truths. First, reinforcements would take weeks to arrive, during which humans could continue studying captured technology. Second, a species that could advance so rapidly from first contact to military victory might be more valuable as an ally than an enemy. Commander Reyes stood beside Admiral Rodriguez as the new treaty was signed. Ambassador Vex, now stripped of his authority, watched from the sidelines as a new Accord representative, Ambassador Mira, took his place. The Accord recognizes Earth's sovereignty and the right of humans to determine their own development path, Mira announced formally. We offer sincere regrets for the Galileo incident and seek a new beginning based on mutual respect. Secretary General Okafor nodded solemnly. Earth accepts these terms and looks forward to true cooperation as equals. As the ceremony concluded, Commander Reyes approached Ambassador Mira privately. Was all this necessary? Mira asked quietly. The violence, the deception. Reyes considered the question seriously. Your people gave us no choice. You arrived with assumptions about your superiority and our place in your hierarchy. You never asked what we wanted or needed. You never considered that we might have something valuable to offer beyond obedience. Mira's multifaceted eyes studied Reyes intently. The Supreme Commander believes we should never have approached Earth. That your species is too unpredictable, too dangerous. And what do you believe? Reyes asked. I believe we have much to learn from each other, Mira replied. Your species accomplished in months what took ours generations. Perhaps the Accord has grown too comfortable with its power, too certain of its methods. Reyes nodded. That's a start. 1 year after Operation Defiance, Earth celebrated its new position in galactic affairs. The technology gained from the Accord accelerated human development in medicine, energy production, and space travel. Earth vessels now regularly travel to Mars and beyond, establishing a human presence throughout the solar system. In a ceremony marking the anniversary, Commander Reyes, now Admiral Reyes, dedicated a memorial to the Galileo crew. Their sacrifice showed us a hard truth, she told the assembled crowd. The universe is not always kind, and advanced technology does not guarantee advanced wisdom. But they also gave us the determination to forge our own path among the stars. Behind her, the first Earth-designed interstellar vessel prepared for its maiden voyage. Named Defiance, it would carry human representatives to the Accord's central worlds, not as supplicants, but as equals. As Reyes watched the ship rise toward the stars, she reflected on how quickly everything had changed. The Stellar Accord had never expected Earth's fury. They had never understood that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or resources, but our capacity to unite and innovate when threatened. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.